Welcome to Global Bible Reading. The Book of 2 Samuel, Chapter 16. David passed a short way over the top of the Mount of Olives. There Ziba, Mephibosheth's servant, met David. Ziba had 2 donkeys with saddles on them. The donkeys also carried 200 loaves of bread, 100 bunches of raisins, 100 summer fruits, and a wineskin full of wine. King David said to Ziba, "What are these things for?" Ziba answered, "The donkeys are for the king's family to ride on. The bread and the summer fruit are for the officers to eat. And when any person feels weak in the desert, he can drink the wine." The king asked, "Where is Mephibosheth?" Ziba answered the king, "Mephibosheth is staying in Jerusalem. He thinks today the Israelites will give my grandfather's kingdom back to me." Then the king said to Ziba, "Because of that, I now give you everything that belonged to Mephibosheth." Ziba said, "I bow to you. I hope I will always be able to please you." David came to Bahurim. A man from Saul's family came out from Bahurim. This man's name was Shimei, son of Zerah. Shimei came out saying bad things to David, and he kept saying bad things again and again. Shimei began throwing stones at David and his officers. But the people and the soldiers gathered around David. They were all around him. Shimei cursed David. He said, "Get out! Get out! You no good murderer! The Lord is punishing you." "Why?" "Because you killed people in Saul's family. You stole Saul's place as king. But now the same bad things are happening to you. The Lord has given the kingdom to your son Absalom." "Why?" "Because you are a murderer." Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse you, my lord the king? Let me go over and cut off Shimei's head." But the king answered, "What can I do, sons of Zeruiah? Sure, Shimei is cursing me, but the Lord told him to curse me." David also said to Abishai and all his servants, "Look, my very own son Absalom is trying to kill me. This man Shimei, from the family group of Benjamin, has more right to kill me. Let him alone. Let him keep on saying bad things to me. The Lord told him to do this. Maybe the Lord will see the wrong things that are happening to me. Then maybe the Lord will give me something good for every bad thing that Shimei says today." So David and his men went on their way down the road, but Shimei kept following David. Shimei walked on the other side of the road by the side of the hill. Shimei kept saying bad things to David on his way. Shimei also threw stones and dirt at David. King David and all his people came to Bahurim. The king and his people were tired, but they rested at Bahurim. Absalom, Ahithophel, and all the people of Israel came to Jerusalem. David's friend Hushai, the Archite, came to Absalom. Hushai said to Absalom, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Absalom answered, "Why are you not loyal to your friend David? Why did you not leave Jerusalem with your friend?" Hushai said, "I belong to the person that the Lord chooses. These people and the people of Israel choose you. I will stay with you. In the past, I served your father. So now I should serve David's son. I will serve you. Absalom said to Ahithophel, please tell us what we should do. Ahithophel said to Absalom, your father left some of his wives here to take care of the house. Go and have sexual relations with them. Then all the Israelites will hear that your father hates you. And all of your people will be encouraged you to give you more support. Then they will put up a tent for Absalom on the roof of the house. And Absalom had sexual relations with his father's wives. All the Israelites saw it. All that time, the advice of Ahithophel was very important to both David and Absalom. It was as important as God's word to a man. Chapter 17. Ahithophel also said to Absalom, let me now choose 12,000 men, then I will chase David tonight. I will catch him while he is tired and weak. I will scare him, and all his people will run away. But I will kill only King David. Then I will bring all the people back to you. If David is dead, then all the people will come back in peace. This plan seemed good to Absalom and all the leaders of Israel. But Absalom said, now call Hushai the Archite. I also want to hear what he says. Hushai came to Absalom. Absalom said to Hushai, this is the plan Ahithophel gave. Should we follow it? If not, tell us. Hushai said to Absalom, Ahithophel's advice is not good this time. Hushai added, you know that your father and his men are strong men. They are as dangerous as a wild bear when something has taken its babies. Your father is a skilled fighter. He will not stay all night with the people. He is probably already hiding in a cave or some other place. If your father attacks your men first, then people will hear the news, and they will think Absalom's followers are losing. Then even the people who are as brave as a lion will become scared. Why? Because all the Israelites know that your father is a strong fighter and that his men are brave. This is what I suggest. You must gather all the Israelites together from Dan to Beersheba. Then there will be many people, like the sand by the sea. Then you yourself must go into the battle. We will catch David in the place where he is hiding. We will attack David with many soldiers. We will be like the many drops of the dew that cover the ground. We will kill David and all his men. No man will be left alive. But if David escapes into a city, then all the Israelites will bring ropes to the city. We will pull down the walls of the city. We will pull them down into the valley. There won't be even a small stone left in that city. Absalom and all the Israelites say, the advice of Hushai the Archite is better than the Ahithophel's advice. They said this because it was the Lord's plan. The Lord had planned to make Ahithophel's good advice useless. That is how the Lord would punish Absalom. Hushai told these things to the priests Zadok and Abiathar. Hushai told them about the things that Ahithophel suggested to Absalom and the leaders of Israel. Hushai also told Zadok and Abiathar about the things that he himself had suggested. Hushai said, "Quickly send a message to David. Tell him not to stay tonight at the places where people cross into the desert. Tell him to go across the Jordan River at once. If he crosses the river, then the king and all his people will not be caught." The priest's sons Jonathan and Ahimaaz waited at En Rogel. They did not want to be seen going into the town. So a servant girl came out to them. She gave them the message. Then Jonathan and Ahimaaz went and told those things to the King David. But a boy saw Jonathan and Ahimaaz. The boy ran to tell Absalom. Jonathan and Ahimaaz ran away quickly. They arrived at a man's house in Bahurim. The man had a well in his courtyard. Jonathan and Ahimaaz went down into this well. The man's wife spread a sheet over the well. Then she covered the well with grain. The well looked like a pile of grain, so no person could know that Jonathan and Ahimaaz were hiding there. Absalom's servants came to the women at the house. They asked, "Where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" The women said to Absalom's servants, "They have already crossed over the brook." Absalom's servants then went to look for Jonathan and Ahimaaz, but they could not find them. So Absalom's servants went back to Jerusalem. After Absalom's servants left, Jonathan and Ahimaaz came out of the well. They went and told the King David. They said to David, "Hurry, go across the river. Ahithophel is planning to do these things against you." Then David and all his people crossed over the Jordan River. Before the sun came up, all of David's people had already crossed the Jordan River. Ahithophel saw that the Israelites did not accept his advice. Ahithophel put a saddle on his donkey and went back to his hometown. He made plans for his family, and then he hanged himself. After Ahithophel died, the people buried him in his father's tomb. David arrived at Mahanaim. Absalom and the Israelites that were with him went across the Jordan River. Absalom had made Amasa the new captain of the army. Amasa took Jacob's place. Amasa was the son of Ithra, the Ishmaelite. Amasa's mother was Abigail, the daughter of Nahas, sister of Zeruiah. Zeruiah was Joab's mother. Absalom and the Israelites made their camp in the land of Gil. David arrived at Mahanaim. Sobi, Makir, and Barzillai were at that place. Sobi, son of Nahas, was from the Ammonite town of Rabbah. Makir, son of Amiel, was from Lo-debar. Barzillai was from the Rozlim in Gil. Those three men said, "The people in the desert are tired, hungry and thirsty." So they brought many things to David and the people that were with him. They brought them beds, bowls, and other kinds of dishes. They also brought wheat, barley, flour, roasted grain, beans, lentils, dried seeds, honey, butter, sheep, and cheese made from cow's milk. Chapter 18. David counted his people. He chose captains over 1,000 and captains over 100 to lead these people. David separated the people into 3 groups, and then David sent the people out. Joab led 1/3 of the people. Joab's brother Abishai, son of Zeruiah, led another third of the people. And Ittai from the Gad led the last third of the people. King David said to the people, I will also go with you. But the people said, No, you must not go with us. Why? Because if we run away in that battle, Absalom's men will not care. Even if half of us are killed, Absalom's men will not care. But you are worth 10,000 of us. It is better for you to stay in the city. Then, if we need help, you can help us. The king said to his people, I will do what you think is best. Then the king stood at the side of the gate. The army went out. They went out in groups of hundreds and thousands. The king gave a command to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai. He said, Do this for me. Be gentle with young Absalom. All the people heard the king's orders about Absalom to the captains. David's army went out into the field against Absalom's Israelites. They fought in the forest of Ephraim. David's army defeated Israelites. There were 20,000 men killed that day. The battle spread through all the country. But that day more men died in the forest than by the sword. It happened that Absalom met David's officers. Absalom jumped on his mule and tried to escape. The mule went under the branches of a large oak tree. The branches were thick, and Absalom's head got caught in the tree. His mule ran out from under him, so Absalom was hanging above the ground. A man saw this happen. He told Joab, I saw Absalom hanging on an oak tree. Joab said to the man, Why didn't you kill him and let him fall to the ground? I would have given you a belt and 10 pieces of silver. The man said to Joab, I would not try to hurt the king's son, even if you gave me 1,000 pieces of silver. Why? Because we heard the king's command to you, Abishai and Ittai. The king said, Be careful not to hurt young Absalom. If I had killed Absalom, the king himself would find out, and you would punish me. Joab said, I will not waste my time here with you. Absalom was still alive and hanging in the oak tree. Joab took 3 spears and threw them at Absalom. The spears went through Absalom's heart. Joab had 10 young soldiers who helped him in the battle. These 10 men gathered around Absalom and killed him. Joab blew the trumpet and called the people to the top, chasing Absalom's Israelites. Then Joab's men took Absalom's body and threw it into a large hole in the forest. They filled the large hole with many stones. All the Israelites that followed Absalom ran away and went home. While Absalom was alive, he put up a pillar in King's Valley. Absalom said, I have no son to keep my name alive. So he named the pillar after himself. That pillar is called Absalom's monument even today. Ahimaaz the son of Zadok said to Joab, Let me now run and bring the news to the King David. I will tell him the Lord has destroyed the enemy for him." Joab answered Ahimaaz, "No, you will not bring the news to David today. You can bring the news another time, but not today." Why? Because the king's son is dead. Then Joab said to a man from Ethiopia, "Go tell the king about the things you have seen." So the Ethiopian bowed to Joab and ran to tell David. But Ahimaaz son of Zadok begged Joab again, "No matter what happens, please let me also run after the Ethiopian." Joab said, "Son, why do you want to carry the news? You will not get any reward for the news you bring." Ahimaaz answered, "No matter what happens, I will run to David." Joab said to Ahimaaz, "Fine, run to David." Then Ahimaaz ran through Jordan Valley and passed the Ethiopian. David was sitting between the two gates of the city. The watchman went up to the roof over the gate walls. The watchman looked up and saw a man running alone. The watchman shouted to tell King David. King David said, "If the man is alone, he is bringing news." The man came closer and closer to the city. The watchman saw another man running. The watchman called to the gatekeeper, "Look, another man is running alone." The king said, "He is also bringing news." The watchman said, "I think the first man runs like Ahimaaz, son of Zadok." The king said, "Ahimaaz is a good man. He must be bringing good news." Ahimaaz called to the king, "All is fine." Ahimaaz bowed with his face to the ground in front of the king. Ahimaaz said, "Praise the Lord your God. The Lord has defeated the men who were against you, my lord and king." The king asked, "Is young Absalom all right?" Ahimaaz answered, "When Joab sent me, I saw some great excitement, but I don't know what it was." Then the king said, "Step over here and wait." Ahimaaz went there and stood there waiting. The Ethiopian arrived. He said, "News for my lord and king. Today the Lord has punished the people who were against you." The king asked the Ethiopian, "Is young Absalom all right?" The Ethiopian answered, "I hope your enemies and all people who come against you to hurt you will be punished, like this young man Absalom." Then the king knew Absalom was dead. The king was very upset. He went to the room over the city gate. He cried there. He went to his room, and on his way there, he said, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, I wish I had died for you. Oh, Absalom, my son, oh, my son." Chapter 19. People told the news to Joab. They told Joab, "Look, the king is crying and very sad for Absalom." David's army had won the battle that day, but it became a very sad day for all the people. It was a very sad day because the people heard the king is very sad for his son. The people came into the city quietly. They were like people who had been defeated in the battle and had run away. The king had covered his face. He was crying loudly, "Oh, my son Absalom! Oh, Absalom, my son, my son!" Joab came into the king's house. Joab said to the king, "You are humiliating every one of your officers. Look, those officers saved your life today, and they saved the lives of your sons and daughters, and your wives and women servants. You love the people who hate you, and you hate the people who love you. Today you have made it clear that your officers and men mean nothing to you. I can see that you would be perfectly happy if Absalom had lived and all of us had been killed today. Now get up and go speak to your officers. Encourage them. I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out and do that right now, you won't have one man with you tonight, and that will be worse than all the trouble you have had since you were a child." Then the king went to the city gate. The news spread that the king was at the gate, so all the people came to see the king. All the Israelites that followed Absalom had run away and went home. All the people in all the family groups of Israel began to argue. They said, "King David saved us from the Philistines and our other enemies. David ran away from Absalom, so we choose Absalom to rule us. But now Absalom is dead. He was killed in battle, so we should make a David the king again." King David sent a message to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. David said, "Speak to the leaders of Judah. Say, why are you the last family group to bring King David back to his house? See, all the Israelites are talking about bringing the king back to his house. You are my brothers. You are my family. Then why are you the last family group to bring back the king? And say to Amasa, you are part of my family. May God punish me if I don't make you captain of the army in Joab's place." David touched the hearts of all the people of Judah, so that they agreed like one man. The people of Judah sent a message to the king. They said, "You and all your officers come back." Then King David came to the Jordan River. The people of Judah came to Gilgal to meet the king and take him across the Jordan River. Shimei son of Gera was from the family group of Benjamin. He lived in Benjamin. Shimei hurried down to meet King David. Shimei came with the people of Judah. About 1,000 people from the family group of Benjamin came with Shimei. Ziba, the servant from Saul's family, also came. Ziba brought his 15 sons and 20 servants with him. All these people hurried to the Jordan River to meet King David. The people went across the Jordan River to help bring the king's family back to Judah. The people did anything the king wanted. While the king was crossing the river, Shimei son of Gera came to meet him. Shimei bowed down on the ground in front of the king. Shimei said to the king, "My lord, don't think about the wrong things I did. My lord and king, don't remember the bad things I did when you left Jerusalem. You know that I sinned. That is why today I am the first person from Joseph's family to come down and meet you, my lord and king." But Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said, We must kill Shimei because he asked for bad things to happen to the Lord's chosen king. David said, "What should I to do with you, son of Zeruiah? Today you are against me. No person will be put to death in Israel. Today I know I am king over Israel." Then the king said to Shimei, "You will not die." The king made a promise to Shimei that he himself would not kill Shimei. Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, came down to meet King David. Mephibosheth had not cared for his feet, cut his beard, and washed his clothes all the time the king had left Jerusalem until he came back in peace. Mephibosheth came from Jerusalem to meet the king. The king said to Mephibosheth, "Mephibosheth, why did you not go with me when I am run away from Jerusalem?" Mephibosheth answered, "My lord and king, my servant Ziba tricked me. I said to Ziba, 'I am crippled, so put a saddle on a donkey. Then I will ride on the donkey and go with the king.' But my servant tricked me. He said bad things about me to you. But my Lord and King is like an angel from God. Do whatever you think is right. You could have killed all my grandfather's family, but you did not do this. You put me with the people who ate at your own table. So I don't have a right to complain to the king about anything." The king said to Mephibosheth, "Don't say anything more about your problems. This is what I decide. You and Ziba will divide the land." Mephibosheth said to the king, "My lord and king, it is enough that you have come home in peace. Let Ziba have the land." Barzillai of Gil came down from Rosalim. He came to the Jordan River with King David. He went with the king to lead him across the river. Barzillai was a very old man. He was 80 years old. He had given the king food and other things when David was staying at Mahanaim. Barzillai could do this because he was a very rich man. David said to Barzillai, "Come across the river with me. I will take care of you if you will live in Jerusalem with me." But Barzillai said to the king, "Do you know how old I am? Do you think I can go with you to Jerusalem? I am 80 years old. I am too old to tell which is bad and which is good. I am too old to taste the things I ate or drink. I am too old to hear any more the voices of men and women that sing. Why should you want to be bothered with me? I don't need any of the things that you want to give me. I will go across the Jordan River with you. But please let me go back home. Then I can die in my own town and be buried in the grave of my father and mother. But here, Kimham can be your servant. Let him go back with you. My lord and king, do whatever you want with him." The king answered, "Kimham will go back with me. I will be kind to him for you. I will do anything for you." The king kissed Barzillai and blessed him. Barzillai went back home, and the king and all the people went across the river. The king crossed the Jordan River to Gilgal. Kimham went with him. All the people of Judah and half the people of Israel led David across the river. All the Israelites came to the king. They said to the king, "Our brothers, the people of Judah, stole you away and brought you and your family across the Jordan River with your men. Why?" All the people of Judah answered the Israelites, "Because the king is our close relative. Why are you angry with us about this thing? We have not eaten food at the king's expense. The king did not give us any gifts." The Israelites answered, "We have 10 shares in David, so we have more right to David than you do. But you ignore us. Why? We were the ones that first talked about bringing our king back." But the people of Judah made a very ugly answer to the Israelites. The words of the people of Judah were more ugly than the words of the Israelites.